so everybody can see it.
We need these kind of aromas. I'm going to make a quick version here. It's 2 ounces of Pete's famed Svöl Swedish. And if hopefully most everyone's tasted it. It's really about the mouthfeel. It's got a wonderful aroma too, but the mouthfeel on the Swedish, I don't know if we want to talk about that, Pete, is fascinating. When Pete and his crew were working on recipes, it was fascinating for us to be able to participate of something that is by and large based on this traditional caraway base. And you wouldn't necessarily know it unless you have the privilege, as Pete and I have, of actually making it in the distillery, that these botanicals inherently have sugar. And so the caraway has a fair amount of sugar in it. And by that, I don't mean to say that it's sweet. It just does provide a really luscious mouthfeel that helps you enjoy a cocktail, I think, even more. So the cocktail itself is pretty straightforward. It's 2 ounces of Swedish, 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce of our lemon verbena infused Demerara syrup. If you don't have lemon verbena, hopefully you have some perfumed. I happen to have rose petals, caraway seeds. I cured some lemon peel. You could then put that in a simple syrup. You could combine a few things together, like coriander seed and caraway and other dried herbs. It's fun to experiment, and the truth is you'll find some purpose for them. The sweeter things, you could put over waffles or pancakes, and some of the more succulent herbal things you can absolutely cook with. It's summertime, obviously. We're very fortunate. We're getting food delivered once a week, and a lot of our friends who have had bars are now putting boxes together of farmed ingredients, fresh produce. We've been getting a lot of zucchini lately. So I typically mix Svöl with a little bit of, you'll find this fascinating, Pete, a little bit of Swedish-style vermouth.
Oh, nice.
And a little bit of syrup just to add sweetness. And I usually use an herbal syrup like caraway syrup or caraway and lemon syrup. And it's great as a little bit of a marinade for grilled zucchini, if that's what you're doing.
Sounds lovely.
Another aside for you.
Whatever we can do. Whatever we can do. There you go.
Real quick. I don't want to splash it here on myself, but we got it. Okay. And, it's got some coconut, 1/2 ounce of coconut cream. One, you can smell that and you'd absolutely taste it. But I'm just going to add about an ounce of, that's the cream, an ounce of Prosecco, which is, it's been sitting here for an hour, still got a little bubble to it. But whatever inexpensive sparkler you have at home is ideal. I'm just a Prosecco fan. And, for the sake of ease, I'm just pouring it right out of the shaker. But cheers, all.
Cheers. That looks delicious.
And it is, I got to be honest, it's delicious. It's simple. But for me, this is my kind of tiki cocktail because I could sit and even with the coconut cream, the addition of the Prosecco, the lightness of fresh lime, and the brightness of this lemon verbena syrup, which is really just sitting on the middle of my tongue, I could have at least 3 of these, maybe 5 of them. I'm not kidding. I don't know how.
I'm down for 5.
But I start with 3. I got to give my kids a bath in an hour. But
a little context here. One is, if you guys are making this at home, which would be awesome, please do tag us. Hashtag Tiki by the Sea at Tiki by the Sea NJ. A little background on Svöl, so you guys are aware. Allen makes it at New York Distilling Co. in Brooklyn, New York. We had an awesome process where we worked with him and his team in really taking a thoughtful gin-based approach to the Aquavit category. And we worked with a couple guys who worked under Klaus Meyer, who opened Noma with Renee. So really rad look at kind of like the modern Nordic food movement and how those flavor profiles can play into the delivery and experience of the product. So Gunnar Gislason, who is a Michelin star chef and owner of Dill in Iceland, and Jonas Anderson consulted with us on botanical sourcing and blending. Then Allen's team obviously worked on the product in the end. The base material includes a part of, Allen, your rye new make. So there's texture there, delicious, lovely. There's a different texture and body to this than is, I'd say, typical of most botanical spirits. So really fun on that level.
Well, if I can real quick, Pete, you want to geek out or nerd out on that aspect. One of the things is for typical botanical based spirits, gin and aquavit, we're typically distilling them from neutral grain spirit. And so when Pete says we're using some portion of our New York Distilling Company, our rye new make, this is full flavor. And it really is not just about the flavor, but the texture and the finished mouthfeel. And so that combination, I think, is really instrumental and drives home, the fun of working on the project, Pete, with you and your team, because it goes back to maintaining those origins for me of learning new things, and not for its own sake, but striving to be creative, because it just brings pleasure. And the aspect of learning new things, of doing this, has keyed me in on other aspects, not just about your aquavit, but on our own gin production and how I evaluate other spirits.
Right on. I'm going to ask some questions here. If anybody has questions for you, Allen, but just so people know how to get in touch with Allen, if they have more questions, Allen at nydistilling.com, at nydistilling at Instagram.